Hello, I'm here today to talk about my latest book, War Stories, World War II to the Present. It's very interesting to hear about how this book came into being. In 2011, my Aunt Lucille from New York City passed away. The funeral and the luncheon were held in Queens, and her friend, Helena Weinrauch, a Holocaust survivor, attended. After the event, Helena needed a ride back to New York City, and my brother Bruce took her home. That's the end of the story. 10 years go by, and I'm cleaning out my office, and I come across an article titled The Will to Live by Helena Weinrauch. Obviously, what must have happened was that she gave a copy to Bruce, and Bruce made a copy for me. I tucked it away, and I completely forgot about it. So I started to read it. Her story opens up with her waking up from a coma in Sweden. Having spent 5 grueling years in concentration camps, ending in a horrific death march, Helena was literally a bag of bones placed on a pile of dead concentration camp prisoners. A British officer detected a pulse and got her to a hospital. However, the hospital, fearing that she might be contagious, put her back on the street, and another British officer took her to another hospital, and she wakes up several days later in Sweden and immediately writes down her experiences. She's 21 years old, and she's got a photographic memory. She remembered everything. If you've seen Schindler's List, you will remember the horrible commandant played by Ralph Fiennes. That horrific man was a real person, Amon Goth, and was in charge of the concentration camp where Helena spent most of her years. She knew him. A beautiful girl who could speak German, she passed for being a Christian for several months. At that time, she attended a Nazi ball and ended up dancing with the very German soldier who later shipped her off to a concentration camp after she was turned in by a friend of one of the people that she was staying with. The story was so devastating that when I read it, I had to stop. I couldn't read it in one sitting. I stopped and then started to read it again, and I couldn't read it in 2 sittings. It's really that heavy. It's such an incredible story. Since I had several other war stories, including 2 from 2 men who landed in Normandy and went all through Europe, and another from Ella Adler, who, like Helena, endured the horrors of concentration camp living, who I also knew, I figured if I could get the rights to Helena's story, I could publish it, and I'd have a book. So I looked Helena up. She was 96 years old. She knew who I was, and she agreed, giving me permission to use her story as long as I promised not to change a single word. And of course, I agreed. I then contacted my good friend, the author Nelson DeMille, and he contributed a chapter from his Vietnam War book, Upcountry. And I put together some other stories and got Tim Gray, the Emmy Award-winning filmmaker who runs the World War II Museum here in Wakefield, Rhode Island, and Tim agreed to write the introduction. This is an anthology, and not every story takes place on a battlefield, but every story is about endurance. War doesn't end when the shooting stops. It lives on in the memory, in loss, in moral choice, and in the long struggle to rebuild a life. In that sense, we are all warriors, navigating a complicated and often unforgiving world. These stories remind us what survival really costs and why remembering really matters. Thank you for your time. I hope you will read, enjoy, and appreciate war stories from World War II to the present. Here's the book, and I really hope you get a chance to pick up the book and look through it and enjoy all the stories therein. Thank you.